Thanks, everybody. And I do think the universe was sending us a message tonight by having the students come first. Okay, guys, I did some snooping about you guys online, and your Facebook accounts and whatnot. So for our audience to get to know you, something I thought was interesting is you all had sort of sayings and mottos on your account. So Zadren, yours said, Zadren Hill, refining himself every day to achieve great things with his passions, emoji, pencil, pad emoji, pen emoji, and inspire others with it. Tell me what that means, Zadren.
Well, that became a motto of I'm a writer, I'm an aspiring poet and author, and so I've been through things like in my past life with financial instability, differing relationships with family members and such things, and there was a point of time where I came to the idea that like I felt as though going through all of that, I could inspire other people with my story. So with my writing, I'm refining myself to become better and go out into the world and share that story and share my experiences with other people and let them know that they're not alone.
Nice. When do you write? Do you write when you have an idea? Do you journal? What's your writing process?
I'm mainly on the poetry stream right now. I am trying to develop at least 2 books. One of them I'm wanting to try to at least get into the publishing process by the end of next year. But as of right now, I'm just on the poetry spectrum. And when I do write, it's a spur of the moment kind of thing. I kind of have to be in the zone, you know.
Sure. Qadira, yours said, most call me mango, some call me dope. I know that I'm just human. Okay, the first part. Most call me mango?
Yeah.
Why is that? Can you hold the mic?
When I was younger, I used to eat a mango a day. And my mom said, if you keep doing that, you'll turn into one. And I was like, okay.
Should I call you mango or Qadira?
It's up to you.
Okay. Some call me dope. What's the last dope thing you did?
The last thing?
Yeah. Most recent.
Waking up this morning.
All right. And I know that I'm just human.
I mean, I'm going to have highs and lows. I'm going to do things I'm proud of, things that I'm not proud of, have good experiences, bad experiences, and they're all forming me into mango, but at the same time, I am just human, and I just have to embrace that.
Okay. Gwen, yours was a Maya Angelou quote, "Still I rise." What does that mean to you?
Well, as being a young lady of color, I feel like we go through a lot of challenges, and especially as being a teenager, not a lot of people realize what I go through in my life. I'm not just, your average teenage girl. I don't like Starbucks all the time. I don't go out and hang out with my friends. I like to buckle down and get my schoolwork done and know that I can go somewhere in life. So that's mostly what that quote means to me.
Okay. Now, Joshua, you were tough. I couldn't really find anything on you, but I figured I could pop this to you because you placed 5th out of 90 high school debaters in the Birmingham area, and you were nominated Best Speaker in the Agents of Change class at Vanderbilt Summer Academy, so I'm putting you on the spot. What's one of your favorite quotes, and what does it mean to you?
That's a great question. I think one that comes to mind is by a philosopher by the name of, he goes by Aubrey Graham, known also as Drake. And one of his one of his quotes is, I'd self-destruct if I ever lose, but I never do. And now, obviously, it's rhythmic, it comes off the tongue nicely, but at the same time, it kind of shows like, I'm human, and I can come down, I can self-destruct, but if you just give yourself a mentality of, I never will, that's just not in my mentality, or that's just not in my DNA, then I feel like, you can just accomplish anything.
There you go. So one of the reasons I asked you guys about mottos is because your schools all have them. I went on the websites. So Joshua, Homewood, right? The motto at Homewood is educating and empowering students to maximize their unique potential. Does your school accomplish this, and how?
In fact, that motto, when we say the announcements, it's said every single day of the announcements. And I would say that Homewood does a good job of that because every kid learns differently. And at Homewood, you have a wide range of people. We have classes to accommodate them. We have many good AP classes. We have summer programs if students don't receive credit in a class. And I feel like there's a teacher for literally not just every subject, but every type of learner. And from a young age, not at Homewood High School particularly, but in the elementary schools, they work hard on establishing what type of learner you are, a visual, auditory, et cetera, and then have the teachers behind it to implement that.
What does it mean to you to hear that every morning, if they say that every morning?
Well, one would hope that it shows that they care and that it's not just something put on the website for other people to see or to gloss themselves up, but a message to the students more so than maybe even the teachers.
Okay. Mango, Ramsay High School. The mission of Ramsay High School is to prepare students to succeed at the post-secondary level by providing an enriched educational program. The ultimate goal is to empower our students with the knowledge and skills to be well-rounded, global-minded, responsible citizens and lifelong learners. Do you feel your school accomplishes this?
I know that they try, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, of course, there are going to be places where some people slip through the cracks. Like, they're trying the best they can to prepare us for what comes ahead, and seeing as how we're there for 1/3 of our day, which turns out to be like 1/3 of our teenage lives, of course, you would think that it's pretty effective. However, there are some things that happen, let's say at home or through our personal lives, and we're not always going to be able to do that. And when it comes to accommodating to those needs, once again, they try, but of course, there are going to be some areas that aren't just black and white.
When you say some people slip through the cracks, from your observations, what's usually the reason for that? What's the reason someone might slip through the cracks that you've observed in school?
After a while, after hearing things over and over again, you start thinking about them and you stop believing them. And so once you begin to think and you're like, wait, this doesn't line up with what I'm going through, then after a while, it's just like, why am I here? And then it becomes an identity crisis mixed with just questioning everything. And in a lot of places, we're told not to question things. So we feel guilty about it and we're confused, and it's just trying to navigate through that.
Okay. Woodlawn was very succinct. Commitment to excellence, greatness starts here. Can you give me an example of the commitment to excellence at your school? And you don't have to, if you don't agree with it, if you feel like it's not the right thing for you, you can say that.
Yes, I see some of my teachers out here. Hi.
I saw the scan, he was like, wait.
But when it comes to the commitment to excellence, I mainly see that drive coming through our principal, Dr. Drake. She is a very business-centered woman. She's all about her academics. She's all about getting there, getting you to reach your goals. Yet I personally kind of disagree with some of the tactics. It becomes a point to where sometimes when she tries to push us through that drive, it's like in a specific way. And when it comes to certain students, that specific way isn't the way that's the most comfortable with them. So it becomes this sense of, okay, how am I gonna do this if I have to do specifically what you say in order to make it later in life? So it just kind of gives out a lack of hope, you know? And I believe she's doing a great job, especially with making sure we're safe and everything, and we're having a good balance of work and play. Yet it did become stressful. Like, we have an advisory period. Our reading and writing scores are very low. And so during advisory, we have to read an article and annotate it. But the annotation protocol is, again, very narrow. And when I do it, it's just kind of like, okay, I don't annotate like this. Okay, this is not how I annotate. I would ask questions, I make comments, yet it's just it's just there.
It's
you know.
narrow. Okay. And finally, Gwen, there wasn't a particular mission statement. There was a lot of links to all the accolades the school's received, being one of the best in the country. But there was a letter from the principal that said, "Our goal is to ensure that every student is exposed to rigorous coursework while learning from competent, caring professionals." What's your response to that?
Well, I can definitely say that we do have very well-educated educators. There does come a point where there are some that can be overbearing, but you know, our school, they try to figure out a way to make sure that everyone finds something that doesn't put too much stress on the student. When you're a freshman, you might get new teachers, and that can be a little hard, especially when they're just coming into the program. And they don't really know what they're doing, but it's okay because everybody's learning. You're a freshman, so you're learning. They're a new teacher at the program, so they're learning. And so everybody's kind of in that place where it's like, we'll figure it out together. So my school does a good job at making sure that everyone can get adjusted well and that everyone knows where to go, how people work within the program. So, yeah.
Josh, if you could change one thing about the education system in Birmingham, what would it be? What do you think would be effective to help make the schools better?
Not just at Homewood, but in all of Birmingham?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know if you're from Birmingham, but in Birmingham there's something called the Over-the-Mountain schools, and those are, I attend one of them, Homewood High School, Vestavia, Mountain Brook, et cetera, and then there's Birmingham City schools, and the distance between my house and Birmingham City, or like going to Birmingham City School, is not even 5 minutes. And Homewood, these over-the-mountain schools, they have a great reputation for great education, and they have a lot of wealth. And not only are they proud of it, they're aware of it, and they utilize it. Yet when the speaker who spoke earlier described problems that are in Birmingham, and I'm sure everyone here is aware of them, whether, especially with education, it's been in the news for a long time. So just the disparity between the two, having just such a high, Homewood High School is ranked a top 500 school in the country. And we're 5 minutes away from somewhere where they're struggling with the problems, and you wonder, how can something geographically close be so different economically?
So closing the disparity gap.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Qadira, you've gone to a lot of different schools, am I right? You've gone to predominantly white schools, you've gone to schools here. Out of all of your academic experiences, which one was the most comfortable for you, both academically and personally, and why, given you've had such a breadth of experience?
In all honesty,
Please.
I've never been comfortable in an academic setting. Ever.
What would you need to be comfortable?
It's very stressful, and there are a lot of expectations, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the fact that, especially me, after going to so many schools, you start to notice things. You notice how, for example, like I have been to schools, all sorts of different, I don't know how to explain this, but after a while you start to notice everyone knows where they are. And everyone starts to embrace that. If you're at a school that has more funding, then of course they're going to feel as if they are superior to other schools. While if you're in a school that doesn't have as much, then they know where they are too.
So people start believing the narrative that's about the school. Continue.
And it's like Zadren said, sometimes there's no hope at all. And if there was a way to get that back, because if you can put hope into people, then they'll be motivated to do anything. But after a while, giving someone hope a lot of times, a lot of schools do that by lying to them. And once we weed that out, it's like, why should I listen to you if all you're going to do is lie to me? So it's just, like, I've never been comfortable because I always knew that there was something wrong. And more than that, I wasn't sure how to fix it. So maybe if we could start there, then we could work towards getting at least familiar with where we are.
Zadren, I'm going to, that's good. Zadren, what, in your opinion, what makes someone a good and effective educator? What skills, what characteristics?
When it comes to having a good and effective educator, when I I want to be able to engage with my teacher, you know, have a student-teacher relationship, you know, like communication. I'm really, really big on communication. I try my best to, if I have something going on at home, I am going to let you know. I may not be as comfortable talking about it, but you know, this is kind of my grade here, you know? So this is kind of like my stem of survival. So I feel like good educators need to be engaged with their students. It shouldn't be, I'm gonna meet you halfway student, because a lot of teachers I have met over my course of being in the academic field, sadly, a lot of them are just there for their paycheck. So I'm just here to get my money, go home. I don't have to like you, which is true. Like, you know, not everybody is going to like everybody yet. It's not like these students are going to act like be your friend after they get out of here. So at least there should be some amount of respect to where we can get things done.
Communication, engagement, and respect. That's yes. It. Okay. I'm going to open up to questions from the audience in just a minute. Your school does really well, but every school can improve. Every organization can improve. If you could improve one thing about your school, what would it be?
There are times where the way they go about things, such as hiring certain teachers, it doesn't really go out the way they hoped it would.
You're being so polite.
Yeah. Like my freshman year, I had good teachers. Mm-hmm. All my teachers were very smart. They knew what they were doing. But it was one particular teacher where she came in so hard, and we were all like, we're just freshmen. We don't know. We barely even know how to get to our next class. And you're acting like we're college students. We're not there yet. And so, like, I feel like my school should make it to where they should know what level, what area the teachers should be to match the students, because not all students are going to be on the same level. And so if the teachers are not there, then the students can't be there either.
Okay, I wouldn't have been able to ask this question if things had gone as planned. But since you're up here and since the mayor's coming after you, Joshua, what question would you want to ask the mayor? Mayor-elect, I should say.
Well, I know Mayor Bell, who was the mayor before you, had been there for a long time. And whenever there's a young, new mayor, young, new, handsome mayor, everyone's like, there's
right there.
There's all this new hope, new change. Even when Barack Obama was elected, he was something different, new hope, new change. And I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on education. I'm 17. But at the same time, I mentioned the disparity between the mountain schools and Birmingham city schools, but I don't know the root of the cause, and I don't know what could be done to change that. So I know that's a very broad question, but I think at the same time it's quite direct, because new hope and new change is a really nice phrase to hear, but what does that mean, and how can that be seen with your own eyes and changes made? So, yeah.
If we have any questions from the audience, we've got a microphone over here. If you just raise your hand, my colleague will come over to you. If you ask any of these bright young students anything. Anybody? Somebody, okay, hi.
Hi there, I'm Terry Michael. I'm actually School Board District 2 here in Birmingham City Schools. I want to thank all the children. Y'all are amazing. I'm sorry, all the students up on the stage. I have a question. Y'all are not asked often enough what you need, what your opinions are, where we should go, what do you want. How do you see that we could utilize your voices more and how you can be involved in the decisions that are being made about your schools and your education?
You want to take that, Zadren? How can you?
Would you mind repeating that question, please?
How would you like to be more involved in having your voices heard in what your needs are and what your wants are for your schools? How could you be more involved, and how do you want your voice to be a part of the process?
That's a great question. Having more programs within schools where students can actually, just have an opinion. Like, we have different programs such as the SGA and such as things like that, like mainly with that. So it becomes only those within the SGA can put in their opinions. So it would be nice if we had, like, I've always liked the thought of having a suggestion box, with respectful opinions and not destructive thoughts, but constructive thoughts to avoid destruction.
Qadira, how would you like to be more involved? What's a way that students could be more involved in their own future, in their own schools?
The programs are there, but the faith that we have in those programs isn't. Because after a while, if you're just talking and no one's listening, then how are you supposed to believe that you're being heard?
Got a question over here from the audience.
Hey, my name is Lance Simpson. I'm the department head for the Learning Center for the Birmingham Public Library. I know a couple of these awesome people up here. What I wanted to ask you is, a lot of what my job is facilitating out-of-school learning activities, safe spaces. Many of you probably hung out at one of our libraries after school. There's a lot of kids that hang out with them after school during the year, and I want to ask what it is that we can do as a library, as an educational partner, as a safe space for you guys. What can we do to meet your learning needs, your needs as teenagers? What can we do to better address your needs now?
Gwen, do you have any thoughts about what it is you need from the outside educational community, not the formal within the academic structure?
Well, bringing more towards inside of our school would help a lot, like not just being on the outside, but being on the inside too, because not a lot of people can be there a lot on the outside. So if we had something on the inside of our school to actually help us and to get there, then maybe we could have more time on the outside to be there.
Joshua, what do you think about that idea?
My fellow speaker earlier had mentioned that as hard as a school can try, things outside of school, whether it's family life or things like that, can have students, as she put it, slip through the cracks. And so I think just putting your name out there, you said you're a safe place, but maybe not every student knows that. So just, well, I don't know whether it's flyers, online, social media, however you want to distribute information, but get your name out there, because a lot of resources aren't utilized simply because many don't know that they're even there to be utilized. So.
Qadira, you're nodding your head. Why?
That was exactly what I was thinking.
All right. Great minds think alike. All right, we've got 1 minute left, and I want to ask this to all of you. Sometimes when people get in the room who are passionate about this kind of stuff, they kind of end up talking about the same stuff over and over again. So I want to know from you, what do you think is missing in the conversation about schools and improving schools? You want to say something?
Institution of creativity. When it comes to when you're in school in an academic setting, typically, especially when it comes to standardized testing, there's always just one right answer. There's only one right answer. And that mindset, it becomes like, again, like narrowing. So it's like, if I can't understand this, then what am I gonna do? So there's always different ways for students to make it in life. I've known a lot of people who have not gotten high school diplomas or college degrees, such as my mother. She didn't have a high school diploma. She hasn't been to college yet. She is still surviving to this day. Yeah. We've been through a lot of things, not an understatement. And it's so empowering to see that a colored woman is still being able to take care of not just herself, but me and 2 other little people. So once we get together.
So I want to wrap this real quick because I'm getting the flashing sign. Do any of you, other of you, have a real strong opinion, something you want to add? Go ahead.
Don't be afraid to talk about the important things, the things that nobody talks about, the things that are troubling teenagers that make adults uncomfortable, that I can't even say up here because it would make people uncomfortable. Like, why is this here? Why are we filtering things? We're going through things that others can't explain or they're afraid to explain, and we don't need that fear because it's going to be holding us back as long as we're here. So please let us embrace that. Like, creativity is a good outlet for that. Like, just there's got to be some place to talk about it.
Josh, you want to dive in before we go? Are you good? You're good? Gwen, you good?
Honestly, they said everything.
All right. You guys are more than good. You're great. Let's thank our panel.